Have you ever felt like life was just spiraling beyond your control? Or wondered about the hidden stuff behind big corporate collapses? What if a really personal struggle got tangled up with, well, the collapse of a whole industry? And imagine that story filled with claims of surveillance, financial weirdness. Okay, let's unpack this. Today we are diving deep into a truly fascinating and honestly sometimes unsettling account. It comes out of the Icelandic Danish software scene. We've been looking through documents that detail not just a big financial collapse, but also this gripping personal story. It's packed with claims. I mean, everything from personal stalking, financial monitoring, to some really intriguing connections. We're talking former colleagues, police, financial institutions. It's a lot.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how these materials weave together the big picture, the sort of macroeconomic stuff, with something intensely personal. Our job today, really, is to pull out the crucial bits of information from this complex story. We want to understand the claims, the context they're presented in. Very important, we're not endorsing any specific viewpoint here. We're just exploring the ideas, the allegations laid out in the sources. We're trying to give you that concise overview you need so you can quickly grasp the tangled threads in these documents.
Okay, let's start right at the core of it all, the financial storm, as these accounts describe it. The bankrupt Icelandic Danish software industry. And this wasn't just, one isolated thing. The documents stress it happened after bankruptcies across all of Europe, so a wider trend. And here's a key detail. The Danish part of this industry apparently sold to the United States way back in 2002. It really paints a picture of widespread failure and big shifts in who owned what.
Right, and to give that a bit more texture, the documents talk about a company called Landsteiner. They had operations, it seems, across Europe. So Landsteiner GmbH in Bremen, Germany. Then Landsteiner as in Aarhus, Denmark. And some activities in Sweden, too. The materials name a few key people. Guðmundur Fertram Sigurjónsson, described as responsible for something called GoPro Landsteiner's foreign operations in Europe. Suggests a specific angle there. Then there was Bjarni Foer Herlfsson. He was in Bremen first, then moved to Denmark. And Leslie R. Frank. Started in Denmark, ended up in Bremen. He's actually described quite warmly a nice guy, an easygoing fellow. Interestingly, Guðmundur Fertram Sigurjónsson, the first guy, he apparently left the company just a few months before bankruptcy struck. The implication of the text is pretty clear. Difficulties are probably the reason. It sounds like he saw trouble coming.
So, okay, this massive industry collapse is the backdrop. But what really, leaps off the page in these documents is this very powerful, almost chilling statement. A bankrupt industry doesn't ask, it just takes with force. That sets a really stark tone, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It's aggressive.
And it connects straight to a specific detail mentioned. The Icelandic Software Fund became Strammer Bararis Investment Bank, HF. This feels like more than just a name change. It kind of implies a fundamental shift, maybe the whole purpose, going from software to, high-stakes finance.
Exactly. The way the material presents it, it's like it laid the groundwork for a certain type of operation. It wasn't just rebranding. It seems like a strategic move that the author connects directly to these, aggressive practices you mentioned. And then the documents throw in this really provocative idea, targeting software theft, the backbone of the expansion.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and it points a finger, mentioning employees of Microsoft Iceland, former employers of Navision Iceland. Now, Navision, you might know, that's a big name in enterprise resource planning software. So it immediately makes you think who was involved, what were they doing, and how did this alleged theft become, central to expanding financially?
What's striking, then, is how quickly the story pivots. From this huge industry stuff, right down to a single person's experience. How do the documents link those two things? The author, Gisli Johnson, he talks about his own intense struggles. It started with delaying his move from Iceland to Germany for work. He describes just not being able to get away from his job, even though the move was planned almost a year ahead. His stuff was already on a ship.
Sounds incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. He says he was relieved when he finally got to Bremen, but he really missed his children intensely. Then later he moved from Bremen to the UK, and still the same problem. Couldn't get free from work. He even had to take his kids with him to work while trying to sort out childcare. He really hammers this point home, saying, I couldn't get myself free from work.
Right.
And he uses this really powerful comparison to capture how he felt. He says, I'm like white Kunta Kinte.
That comparison, it really hits hard, doesn't it? It underscores this profound feeling of being controlled, unable to break free, almost like, well, like being enslaved by the situation. And then the documents dive into these really serious claims, talking about a siege around him, being stalked, even in a foreign country. And this apparently went on for a long time. The author clearly states there needs to be a solution that works. So this isn't just about job stress anymore. It sounds like a direct threat to his personal freedom, his well-being.
And then it gets even more intricate with these connections the author alleges. He notes a former friend, coworker, and chairman of a company he used to work for. Apparently had an office at the police station.
At a police station.
Yeah. And the wife of another former friend and coworker, she went to work for Iceland's Financial Supervisory Authority. Plus, there's this claim that some others related to the same profession became big shareholders in the Icelandic banks. Makes you wonder, how interconnected everything was.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because the material adds that this same coworker, the second one, his company was apparently at the same address as something called the Wireless Worldwide Broadband System back then.
Huh. Wireless broadband.
Yeah, suggesting a link to major communications infrastructure. So you've got these professional ties seemingly crossing sectors, finance, police, tech, all swirling around this one person. And then there's this very specific interaction reported. The chairman, Magnus Sigurðsson, apparently told the author, point blank, "You must be an Icelander."
Just like that. Out of the blue.
Seems so. The author reflects on why he'd say that, without any discussion beforehand. He speculates it was because of rumors, and adds, kind of cynically, that maybe it was good for their wallet, suggests a calculated reason behind it, like some shared understanding or agenda among a select group.
The allegations then really deepen when we get to surveillance. I mean, the author states, quite chillingly, they have been monitoring my finances like a doctor listening to his patient.
That's a very visceral image.
It is. And then there's this claim, when I return to Iceland, the first person who tries to make friends with you and spend time with you, and I didn't know before, is a detective.
Yeah.
I mean, a detective. Immediately upon returning, that's quite specific.
It is specific, and the tracking claims, they just keep coming. Soon after, the author arrived at a place called Solheimar, which is this unique community in Iceland known for social initiatives, sometimes rehabilitation. A tailor was reportedly sent to make him an Icelandic national costume.
A national costume? Why?
Well, that detail feels heavier when you learn about a cooperation contract signed on September 1st, 2004. It was between Solheim and the Prison and Probation Administration, specifically for prisoners.
Okay, that is unnerving.
It's an odd juxtaposition, definitely. The material also mentions some of the author's former co-workers started working and hanging out with people who'd been in music publishing. Again, hinting at this unusual, maybe coordinated network.
And this alleged tracking, according to him, it wasn't just in Iceland. He claims people around him get swapped out sometimes, and they even speak Icelandic when he's abroad, in foreign countries. He mentions names possibly linked to companies like Stofanet or Stofa, which are telecom providers.
So implying maybe Icelandic agents or listeners?
That seems to be the suggestion. He details this incredibly pervasive surveillance. Claims they tracked everything, hotels, restaurants, his gyms, swimming pools, even taxi drivers he used in other countries. It paints this almost movie-like picture of being constantly watched, everywhere.
It's a very comprehensive description of alleged monitoring.
Then we shift to the financial allegations. And these are pretty substantial. The documents talk about a 5% or 10% real return per year on the money for 2 decades. That's a long time. And the author claims that they already have a copy and paste of my money at least once or maybe twice.
What?
All day.
What does that even mean? Like digitally duplicating his funds? That's exactly what it sounds like. A systematic, almost digital replication or, well, theft of his financial assets. It suggests a really deep level of access and manipulation.
Wow.
And that's not the end of it. The documents also mention the market share of ingenuity or those companies in my ingenuity. This seems to point towards a deeper claim, maybe about intellectual property or original ideas being exploited somehow.
Right. Given all this, it's not surprising the author states he tried to contact institutions like the police at the time to report these things.
Understandably so. These are incredibly serious allegations.
Yeah. And facing all this, the author then offers some really powerful, almost philosophical thoughts on force and justice.
He does. He states quite dramatically, nationalization is the use of force, and fair compensation is the use of force, and often war with the nationalized. It feels like he's equating the financial taking he believes he experienced with something as drastic as a state seizure of assets.
That's intense.
And he follows it up with something even more stark. People have gone to war for less money than this. Like so many prolific thieves, men are prolific in money laundering. He's painting this really bleak picture, isn't he, where huge financial stakes can drive extreme actions. He's framing his personal story within this global context of financial crime and power games.
So considering everything, the alleged scale of the financial stuff, the deep personal cost he describes, he leaves us with this really enigmatic, almost despairing statement. If you know how to play poker, then you are forbidden to play bridge or to have a life at all. How do you read that in light of everything else?
So what does this all mean? Well, that quote is a powerful, kind of chilling summary, I think. It suggests that once you've seen or been caught up in the really high-stakes game, the poker of serious financial manipulation, perhaps then the normal, everyday bridge game of a regular life just becomes impossible.
Like you can't unsee it.
Exactly. It's a metaphor for how this whole experience has fundamentally changed his view of reality, his ability to just live normally. Maybe because he feels he's seen the real mechanics of power underneath everything. It's a truly haunting thought. Really brings home the personal toll of these huge allegations.
We certainly covered a lot just now. An incredible density of information, these personal claims. From an industry collapsing right down to one person's allegations of being tracked, watched, and financially manipulated. It's a story that really weaves together corporate failure, alleged crime, and this one individual's really harrowing-sounding experience.
Absolutely. The documents we've looked at today, they definitely give a unique perspective. It's subjective, of course, but it's a lens into some very complex events.
Yeah.
And they really make you think about the implications for individuals when they get caught up in these huge financial shifts. This raises an important question, I think. What happens when these intensely personal stories crash into corporate and maybe even national events? How do people navigate these alleged patterns of influence, of control, when they seem so deeply embedded in an industry?
Yeah, how do we just as individuals even perceive those alleged patterns of influence when they're so tangled up in our personal lives and the way industries work? It's definitely something to chew on. And interestingly, the author himself, Ghislaine Johnson, says that to really get the full picture, you need to read those Google documents, as he puts it, which just highlights, even after a deep dive like this, there are always more layers you could potentially explore.